Okay, so we're at Let's Golf. I'm very privileged to have Matthew James, who's a custom fit technician for Callaway. Also does a lot of their product sort of training as well at various sort of the large high street retailers and some of the green grass sites as well. So we're testing various different clubs today, and for the new 2018 range, the Callaway family, we've got the new Apex MB iron.
Yeah, so the pure muscle back iron, so this is a little bit of a step away from the clubs that I'm using myself at the minute, but obviously to that player that wants to use your classic style blade.
So I want to take it up to the camera.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll see very classic designs, very small head shape, again very appealing towards those better players that want that traditional kind of club. Not a lot of technology in this, obviously it's more about its precision making, its build, its quality, and essentially not giving players too much help. It's for the kind of player that can already create the distances that they need to hit, and essentially just give them the looks and the feels of a classic performing golf club.
Okay, so in comparison, if we were to compare this to some of your previous muscle back clubs of previous years, anything significantly different with this?
A lot of it obviously stems from the tour guys. They give their feedback into every club that we build and every club that we design, so slightly different sole designs, slightly different cambers, slightly different bounce options, anything that's really there to sort of aid the guys' feel and performances. So is always taken back from the tour guys. So everything about this golf club when we're doing fittings with it is tour driven.
Okay, so tour influence. So then for the club golfer then, let's talk about the difference between a game improvement iron, a cavity back iron, and an enhancing iron, a blade, which this is. What's the difference then? So we can explain
the first
that.
sort of noticeable one really, and it's a key word in the industry at the moment, is loft, right? So your bladed style irons are always going to be slightly more lofted in their original setup. So one of the things that generally people think that's going to influence is launch. Now we know through CG locations and in terms of the weight of where it is positioned in the head, how that manipulates the ball flight more excessively than say the loft.
Yeah.
So traditional loftings in this, the 7-iron is 34 degrees.
Okay, and so in comparison to...
Compared to say a game improvement iron, that might be around about 30.
30, so 4 degrees, big difference there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And explain a little bit about the centre of gravity then, the CG, how that's moved around between a cavity back and a bladed iron then.
So your bladed iron will always be positioned slightly nearer the face, obviously because you don't have a very thick sole on there.
Okay,
so there's a little bit more mass towards the face. The CG then is also going to be positioned a little bit higher in the blade length on the back. So if you looked at the back edge of the golf club, you'll see that there's a little bit of mass there structured to obviously give us some CG location. But if you looked at it in a graph form, essentially the CG location would be positioned a lot nearer the face and a lot higher up that blade.
Okay. So when we're testing this today then, what do you think that we're going to see then? What's really going to be, we're both CF16 Apex iron users from last year. What do you think the difference is we're going to see?
The first thing I would expect to see is a loss of ball speed.
Okay.
The CF16 is the cut face, as we know. It does give us a lot of ball speed and it's revolutionary for Callaway.
Yep.
So I would expect to see maybe 2-3 mile an hour loss in ball speed. But because of the CG location, because of the design of the head, probably a lot more spin as well. So those things are going to impact distance, and unusually in these sort of circumstances, it's probably going to be negative for me and you more than positive.
Okay. So if we just, before we conclude this intro then to this iron, so tell me a little bit more about what are going to be the benefits to a tour player with more spin. What would a tour player really want with spin? Is that just going to go up in the air, or can they do something with it?
Yeah, so it's going to probably impact them in several ways. We start talking about different lies in the rough, trying to get a little bit more spin to stop those kind of flyers that they might want to get away from.
Yeah.
Getting the control into the greens. They're going to be playing on quick, hard, fast greens most of the year, particularly places like out in deserts, Dubai, for example. Quick, hard greens, they want to see the ball flighted well and they want to see it stopping quick.
Okay. So, and something we talked about as well, so the tour player wanting to manoeuvre the ball, to move it, they can't bend a ball that doesn't have a lot of spin on it. They need to have lots of spin, and then tilt the axis of the spin on the ball then to get it curving. So this is going to give them more moving
playability,
potential.
Is kind of the key word there. I think it's that playability feature that maybe the game improvement kind of golf clubs lose a little bit.
Yeah, and so for then the club golfer might pick this up and say this is a good looking club, looks nice, doesn't look cumbersome as they look down on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, if they pick this up and started to hit it, they're going to now start to see higher spin numbers, which could end up being,
greater,
curve.
Yeah, greater curvature,
Yeah, and then they won't necessarily get the right launch conditions as well.
Probably not the right distance out of it either, right?
Yeah, okay, good stuff. Well, let's start hitting some shots with it, shall we? Okay then, Matt, so we hit some shots. We took our own gamers.
Yep.
Apex CF 16 iron, 7 iron. Obviously mine with the steel fibre shaft in, yours with the Modus 105 shaft. So we tested Dynamic Gold Stiff 300.
Yep.
Both of us hitting shots, and so let's talk about the differences, which it looks like there's some significance here in these clubs in comparison.
I think talking off camera as we were, obviously between the numbers there, I think I've probably seen the bigger differences between the two of us. But the main key factor is the fact that we've both lost the same amount of ball speed.
Yeah, so ball speed, big drops in ball speed. We're over 120 here, dropping into the teens.
Yeah, into the teens.
Yeah.
Now, from a fitting point of view, and certainly from a Callaway point of view, we would always consider these first three numbers as the pillars of ball flight.
Yeah.
If we change any of those numbers, we're going to change the numbers, obviously, down this end.
Yeah.
Which to some players are going to feel important. Some players will put a precedent over maybe distance over control. So this is where this iron sort of has that conversation point. So we'll see there between mine, for example, we've already talked about the Loft, what difference that might make. Obviously the club that I'm using at the moment, the CF16, is a cavity back styled iron.
Yeah.
So it needs to have a slightly stronger loft to accommodate that slightly different CG location.
Yeah.
There's a 4-degree difference in the loft between those golf clubs. So why are they launching the same?
Yeah. Interesting.
It's an interesting point, right? Because not only does the loft give us a little bit of distance, but it also obviously affects the launch.
Yeah.
Now we can see there between those two lofts, the launch isn't being changed.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting point.
So that bangs on then the CG location, primarily changing the launch, and it's like 0.1 difference, so nothing at all really.
Nothing at all,
yeah.
For quite a significant loft change. The main thing that we see is, the real big difference is then in the ball speed and the spin. So that spin, obviously being slightly higher in the face, is what's giving me a lot more backspin, so a lot more rotation, which with a loss of ball speed is giving me a big loss in distance.
Yeah. I mean, that's a massive difference in RPM, 800 odd RPM.
Yeah, and a very huge. Different visible ball flight.
Same launch, but that climbing a lot higher, soaring much more, with the loss of ball speed just dropping, a massive amount of distance there.
Yeah.
And how would that affect you on the golf course? What are we talking here?
I mean, that's obviously at least a club difference.
Yeah.
And I think one of the points that we need to be making aware is the kind of player that wants that kind of golf club, or maybe wants to aspire to use that golf club, needs to be hit in the middle of the face.
Yeah.
Because if I've already lost 4 mile an hour difference in ball speed, any slight mishit between that blade and the current club that I'm using is going to see a big loss in ball speed, and then an even greater loss in that distance number down the end there.
Yeah. I don't think we'd be giving up our day job, that's for sure.
Not yet.
When it comes to ball striking. I mean, for me, so if we talk about my figures then, so I've obviously lost the ball speed similar to you. I saw 1 degree lower in launch with my iron compared to the Apex.
Yep.
A slight difference.
Slight change in the spin.
Slight change in spin. But where it's really hurt me is 8 yards of carry distance. So we're talking potentially nearly a club.
Yeah.
So
and again, this just sort of always alludes back to our conversation with clients is the importance of getting fittings and the importance of coming and seeing people that really know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And knowing all of these numbers, because again, these 3 numbers are your pillars, right?
Yeah.
If we change any of those, we can have a change down the end. So you can see there, even though these 2 middle numbers don't really change that much, the one that does affects the distance down the end.
Yeah. So, you know, the take home out of this then is that obviously for the golfer that's looking at these videos and looking at potentially using these irons, just be aware that if this is affected, it is ultimately going to cost you here. You just got to make sure that you gain what you want in workability on the club to counter those.
And I think, you know, like we've said, and the compare would be that, you know, 6,600 spin is probably quite a lot for your typical club golfer.
Yeah.
It would be a lot for me. How would that play into wind?
Yeah.
You know, how would that play when the conditions are soft like they would be this time of year? You know, it's middle of winter currently in the UK. It's going to be soft conditions out there. I'm not going to see that ball bounce and run another 9 yards as the GC2 is picking up there.
Yeah.
That ball's going to be hitting the ground and stopping really quick, even in soft, quite slow conditions. You know, so do I really need those levels?
Yeah.
Probably not.
So you got to factor in, you know, where the golfer is actually playing. And then obviously the sole design may kick in a little bit, being able to sit that club on a kind of links lie, you know, undulated fairways. But then, you know, if these spin numbers are gonna jump, are they going to be able to really keep that ball down and flight it? So, okay, good stuff. Well, really good to see the difference. Obviously, the technology from, you know, a game improvement club to the top end of game enhancement, cavity back versus blade. Interesting, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video. So it gives you a good indication for us. Although we like the feel of the Apex muscle back iron, super looking club,
that's great,
lovely feel, forged head. With this shaft, you know, going back to our kind of a youth with this shaft as well, the dynamic gold, which, you know, for me it felt really good, felt like I could move it around. We've got to be very, very careful that we don't hurt ourselves and actually cause, you know, issues with us, especially at our level. But a great new offering for Callaway 2018. I'm sure we're going to have much success with many of your guys using this already and starting to use it throughout next year. Good stuff.